My name is Anna Martins. I am a macropod keeper and I work in a zoological facility in Brisbane.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Rossifari podcast. Or really, since I'm currently working on bringing y'all some different facilities from Australia, I guess I should call this the Aussie. Sorry. Anyway, I am excited to be back here with another episode from the land down under. And this time, I'll be bringing you an interview with a person named Anna Martins, who is a keeper in Brisbane. And the conversation's really exciting for a bunch of reasons. But I'm not going to lie. There's really only one reason that I wanted to have Anna on the podcast. And that reason's name is Rocky. Now, I'm not talking about the Sylvester Stallone movie with the absolutely incredible score. I am talking, of course, about a tree kangaroo. And while we have talked a lot about Matchie's tree kangaroos and a little bit about Goodfellow's tree kangaroos on the podcast, this is our first time doing a real deep dive into a Lumholtz tree kangaroo. And I honestly don't have that much more to tell you about what's coming because I kind of blacked out except for when we were talking about Rocky. No, I'm kidding. It's actually a really great, really fun interview all around. We talk about a bunch of different cool animals. All the stuff in Australia is just so fun and neat and different from what I experience here in the States. And there's a whole lot of that. Anna and I had a lot of laughs, a lot of fun with this one. I had to cut some of the joking out because it was so ridiculous and we were laughing so hard that you couldn't actually make out the words that we were saying to each other. So a lot of fun on this one, y'all. A lot of fun. But we also talk about serious stuff. And we're going to talk, of course, about the Lumholtz tree kangaroo Rocky. And we also do kind of a deep dive into the Treeroo Rescue in Australia, which I am just obsessed with that organization. And I'm excited that you'll get to hear more about that and about Karen Coombs, who runs that who basically is that organization. So yeah, it's a real fun one. We'll get to it in a minute. But first, let me remind y'all to make sure that you hit subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Make sure that you are following along on the socials at Rossifari and at Rossifari Pod on TikTok. And hey, don't forget that you can support the podcast for as little as $3 a month by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. People that do that get to get some bonus audio from some of the episodes. And that includes a bit of my chat after we stopped the main episode with Anna here. We talked about some really fun stuff. So those little snippets of conversation are also usually let's say a little less guarded than the official interview. You get to hear adult words and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you could sign up for Patreon and go hear even more of me and Anna goofing around. The last thing that I need to tell you about Anna before we get to the interview is that she recently attended one of the Taylor Swift concerts in Australia. And I'm jealous, y'all. But this may be the biggest Swiftie we've ever had on the podcast, and I would be remiss to not mention that. So without further ado, here is my interview with Anna Martins. Yeah, you do. In Australia, in case anyone couldn't tell by the accent. Woo, yay, Australia.
G'day, mate. How's it going?
Throw another shrimp on the barbie. I know you guys don't even call them shrimp. It's prawn. I know.
It's just not as fun, hey?
No, it's not.
Throw a prawn on the barbie.
So, What I normally do at the start of each interview is I like to find out about the person a little bit. And so I already know that you're a Disney princess and that you're obsessed with being slimed, Nickelodeon style. But beyond that, like, what is your history?
Well, as you can probably tell by my voice, I am still quite a youngin'. So we call them a greenie. Don't know what you guys call unexperienced people over there. But if you're still young and fresh, you're called a greenie. So that's me at the moment. I've only been as a paid zookeeper for about 2 years. Oh, a bit over 2 years, actually. I lied. And then before that, I did a whole bunch of volunteering. So originally, when I was younger, like I'm talking like fresh out the womb sort of vibes, we used to go to SeaWorld, SeaWorld Gold Coast. I know. I'm funny. We used to go to SeaWorld.
Oh, my God. So you used to go to SeaWorld Gold Coast.
We used to go to SeaWorld Gold Coast like every weekend. And I used to always be like, Mom, I'm going to be a dolphin trainer. I'm going to be a dolphin trainer. And I stuck to that for nearly like my whole of primary and high school. And it wasn't until like maybe grade 10 when we went back to SeaWorld with my best friend, because I was like, yeah, let's go suss it out. I want to know what I got to do. Because in grade 10, that's when you start picking your subjects for your senior year. And that's going to lead you up to uni and all that fun stuff. So we went and I talked to, I don't know her name. I don't even know if she's still there. But a dolphin trainer. And she didn't crush my spirit, but she gave me a really big, like, realistic view into what it's like to be a dolphin trainer. And I was like, well, that could not be me. Like, I'm not fit. I can't ride a dolphin. Like, I'm a bad swimmer. I can't do this. And so then I was like, okay, that's not for me, but I still love the marine world so much. What can I do? And then she was like, you could be a marine biologist. And I was like, yeah, facts. Let's do that instead. So then I did my Bachelor of Science in marine biology and wildlife biology. And then it was 3 years doing good, slaying every day. And then it got to our last semester. We had to do, it wasn't a thesis, but it was like a little mock thesis thing. I hated it. I hated it so much. And it ruined the vibes of snorkeling for me because we had to go out 5 times. I know this is sounding so dramatic, but we went out like 5 times a day. You're in and out of a wetsuit, like you're sticky, you're gross, and like so tired because you're like swimming. And then we had this underwater like whiteboard that you had to count stuff when you're swimming. And like I said, I'm not a strong swimmer, so it was, and I was like, I can't, like, what am I doing with my life right now? Like, I've just spent 3 years, like $5,000 in HEX debt. So I was like, what am I going to do? And then I had a moment of epiphany in the shower because in year 10, we did work experience, and I did work experience at Australia Zoo, and I loved it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and volunteer at Australia Zoo. And I did that for like a year and a half. I fell in love and I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm going to do. And then COVID hit. Woo, go COVID. And so then there were no jobs available, and the jobs that were available were for experienced people. Because at that point, like no one had the time or the budget to train up a fresh greenie person. And so they were like, soz mate, like you're good, but we just need people with experience. And I was like, that's so fair. No worries. So then I did the Cert 3 in exhibited wildlife animal care, which was the captive course, but I changed the name. And then we were doing that at Currumbin. And then I was so fortunate. I got a job up North Queensland at Hamilton Island. I was an island girl for about a year. It was pretty good. That's where I got my nice tan from. But I was very fortunate, and we were super lucky because we were a small park, but I got to have such a big experience with a variety of different animals. Like I'm talking little 1.5 meter Anna feeding a 4.4 meter saltwater crocodile.
Nice.
Like amazing experience. Got to work with a variety of macropods, and that's where that macropod love came from. We got dingoes, parrots, cassowaries, like snakes, reptiles, like the whole thing, a whole bunch of native animals. But then I was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to come home, miss the fam. And I was so fortunate I got a job down in Brisbane, and that's about where I am right now.
All
My
right.
whole life story for you.
So I love that. And I think my favorite part is that you were like, okay, so I'm going to be a dolphin trainer. And then you talk to a dolphin trainer, and the dolphin trainer is like, hey, you need to be good at swimming. And you're like, oh, I'm bad at swimming. So you were like, I know, I'll do marine biology, which still involves swimming, just less dolphins. It's like you chose the part that's the less fun of I'm confused by this, but choices were made.
Oh, I was just like, yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I'm going to go do that. Like, I'm going to save the world. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm going to find a new species of coral and name it like Anna Martinus, and then go swimming at the GBR and be like, yo, that's Anna Martinus coral. Like, what's up? Like, that's me, bro. I named that.
That coral is me. And also I'm going to drown finding it because I can't swim. Brilliant.
That's pretty much it.
But it led you to your macropods, and that's what matters.
Exactly. You know what? I like to say everything happens for a reason, and my time to be a dolphin trainer is not up yet. Like, it will come. I'll be a marine mammal trainer one day in my career, maybe when I learn how to swim well, but until that time.
And when you don't get mad about having to put on wetsuits, I mean, like.
Oh, no, but okay, this is another thing though. I'm not built for the cold. I'm also not built for the heat. I'm just built for medium temperatures, because we went to the Great Barrier Reef during like September, which, okay, isn't even that cold. But I had to wear two wetsuits on top of each other. That's how cold I was.
And yet you wanted to be a marine biologist. I'm just gonna keep harping on that fact. But so let's talk for a minute before we get back to Brisbane. Let's talk about your time at Australia Zoo, because I tried to get to see if I could have one of the Irwins on the podcast, and oh boy, did they laugh at me. They didn't actually laugh at me. They were very kind, but I shot my shot and it was shot down. So instead, I'm going to have Anna tell me about her experience at Australia Zoo. Like, what was it like there? And is it weird being at a place that is kind of more famous for a person than an animal?
I think being in there, it's going to sound so like weird, but Steve's presence is still there, like his aura, if you would say. And being there and continuing his legacy, like even as just a volunteer, it was something that you felt good about yourself. And they have such a variety of different animals, and it was such great exposure at such a young age to dabble into everything. Like, they have natives, they have exotics, they have like a whole bunch of they have a whole bird department with like birds of prey and then parrots. And then in that department itself, it was like your classic native birds, like your parrots, but then you got your wetland birds, and then you got your cassowary, you got your emus, and you got your birds of prey. Like, just so much in the one section. They got their tigers, and then their Africa section. Like, it was such great exposure at such a young, I say young age as if I'm not still young, but such a young age to see everything. And everyone, there were so many like classic Australian people there, which makes sense. But there was a few people that really just had that like, good eye, mate, how's it going? Like that Aussie presence, which like, it made that experience. And if I was a international guest and I came in and I heard that, I'd be like, wow, that's so cool. You guys actually talk like that.
That's
you
awesome.
know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, totally. That's amazing. And that's why, like, like I said, I would have loved to feature him, and someday I will, I'm sure. But I'm dying to get there at some point. I mean, the place just seems amazing.
It's a lot of walking.
Oh, good. I like that at zoos. But I'm curious. So, what did you get to do as a volunteer there?
Well, you do like the normal stuff, like the raking, and you do like food prep and a lot of guest interaction. But there's one thing that I hold as like such a big moment for my volley time it was just after COVID when the numbers were coming back. I got to help out in they have a big show in the middle of the day. And it's like, they do the crocodile feeding and the birds fly around, and it's absolutely amazing. And it was a small part. I didn't like speak or anything, but when I think it was the macaws. I can't actually remember anymore. It's a long time ago.
I know, back when you were so young.
I know. They fly from one side of the stadium to the other. And I called them over with a little, and they came over and I got to feed them like the little snacks, and then I sent them off, and it was just like the coolest feeling ever. And that like sparked a bit of an interest in birds because of that one moment. And I was like, wow, like this is so cool. And it got me really interested in training as well. So it was just that one little moment of being included. It made me feel like, wow, this is amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah. One thing that's really, no, that's so cool. But one thing that I've always found amusing is that I've talked to a lot of bird keepers on here, and I've never met a person who just like intrinsically loved birds from the start. It's always people who have that experience with a bird or with birds, and then they're like, oh, this is awesome. And that was my experience too. I used to not care about birds, and then I started getting to meet birds for this podcast, and I fell madly in love with them. And like one of my favorite animals that I've ever met is a pied crow named Russell Crowe, like the actor, right? And I love him. Cute. And sometimes I get like sad that I haven't seen Russell in like months now, and I'm like, oh, I need to go back to Massachusetts and go visit my buddy Russell. Like, but it took meeting these birds to understand that and really fall in love with them for me. So, that seems to be the case. Fair. Yeah, that's cool. And I love that it got you interested in training too, because like that's such a big part of your career, It
is, yeah, 100%. And I mean, shout out to Trainer Talks in Jail.
Absolutely. We give them every shout out we can. We're recording this and a new episode of Zoo News just came out. We're recording this in late January. And I think I mentioned their podcast like 3 or 4 times in Zoo News because I love Tess and Daisy. They're the best. So absolutely.
Well, I'm a bit biased. I know Tess pretty well, so I love her pretty much too. So you gotta self plug your besties whenever you can,
Absolutely.
Women supporting women. That's the industry, man.
Yeah, and I guess whatever the heck I'm doing too. Men supporting women. I don't know.
Everyone's supporting everybody.
There we go. But no, I do think that's really cool. So all right, we need to talk about some of the animals that you're currently taking care of. And there is one that I just, this is why we're friends now. Like you reached out to me, right? So you heard me. Let's tell everybody what happened. Like, how did you discover me?
Well, so again, I guess another self-plug for Trainer Talks and Tales. Religiously listen. Anyways, I heard there was a bit of Rocky chit-chat. Rocky he's not my beautiful tree kangaroo, but I like to, self-claim I'm one of his mums. But I heard Tess name dropping my Rocky boy, and I was like, whoa, she ain't even his keeper. Like, what's going on here? And I was like, Miss Girl, you're trying to steal my limelight or something. And so I was like, nah, this guy, he needs to see some Rocky pics. And I was like, step 1, follow. Step 2, message. Step 3, send Rocky pics.
And I mean, that was literally it. The first message that I got were just close-ups of this incredible tree kangaroo. And I was like, I don't know who you are, but hi, I love you. Keep this up. And the best part of this was, and I know that you know her, but, Ren Howell and I are good friends, and she's been on the podcast a while ago. And she regularly sends me pictures of Kofi, the Goodfellows tree kangaroo that are at her facility. I regularly get just these like unfiltered behind the scenes photos and videos of my buddy Kofi. And I'm not kidding when I say, right? But I'm not kidding when I say the day she left for maternity leave is the day that you sent me Rocky pictures for the first time. And I was like, I've got a new supplier. This is incredible. I was very excited about the whole thing. So we need to talk about Rocky.
Ways.
Yeah, I know. Yes, sorry. And so, okay, so first of all, the most exciting thing about Rocky to me is just what kind of tree kangaroo he is, because those listening have heard about Matchies and about Goodfellows. What are you going to be talking about?
So he's a beautiful Lumholtz tree kangaroo, and so those guys, Rocky! So he was from far north Queensland, and originally he got brought in because he had a shoulder injury. And so he got brought into Karen, who is the founder and operator of Kangaroo Rescue up North Queensland. And then it was later discovered that he has a bit of partial blindness. So I'm sure you know all about this, but in case anyone doesn't know.
No, yeah, all of my listeners aren't as obsessed with all of this as I am. So please go into details.
Hey, if you're not obsessed with tree kangaroos, you're doing something wrong. But so long story short, pretty much North Queensland, it's known to be wet and rainy, and it's supposed to rain up to like 10 or 11 months a year. But in the last like decade or so, it's been more of a drought than rainy. And this is, whenever I try to explain this, in my brain it makes sense, but I don't know if this makes sense out loud.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, so as you probably know, koalas like eat toxic leaves, and rainforest trees can be pretty toxic as well. So the tree kangaroos, they eat it. It doesn't really bother them too much, but because it's been really droughty and there's not a lot of rain, trees will retain that water where they can, and they pretty much make their leaves more toxic so that they provide more protection for themselves so that animals won't eat them. And tree kangaroos, being herbivores, they're going to eat the leaves, and because that's their food, they're going to eat it. Like it is what it is sort of thing. They need their snacks. But because it's such high levels of toxins in that plant, that toxins is affecting them neurologically. And so the best analogy, which I actually am stealing this off Karen, because I heard a podcast a couple of months ago and I'm stealing this analogy. So thank you, Karen. If you have a pepper tree, and if you want that pepper tree, well, I hope it's a pepper tree. I actually don't know if it's a bush or a tree, but either way, you have your pepper plant and you want your pepper plant to be more spicy, you give it less water because then that pepper produces more chemicals. So it is keeping that water and producing more chemicals, so less animals will eat it. And so that's basically what those trees are doing up north. And then the poor little tree roots are like, I still need to have my snacks. So they eat it, the toxins affect them. And then their depth is what affects them the most. So they can still see, but just the depths of things gets altered. And then they find themselves in situations, and then that's when they get hit by a car or they get attacked by a dog. So it's kind of like a knock-on effect sort of thing. So the vision itself isn't the overall problem. Like definitely, bad vision is a problem. But it's the after effect of becoming more vulnerable is when those things happen.
Sure. No, that actually that makes a lot of sense. Like what you just said is fascinating and makes a lot of sense. I did want to just clarify that who you're talking about is Dr. Karen Coombs of the Kangaroo Rescue in North Queensland. And for those of you listening, I keep talking about wanting to go and volunteer at a place in Australia for a month, and that's the place. That is like my dream is to go and volunteer with Karen for a month and interview her for the podcast and just like do
absorb all her knowledge.
Yes.
I would love to just pick her brain.
Yeah.
She's probably hearing this like, what? Sorry, you want to what?
Oh, please. That woman does not have time to listen to podcasts. She does so much.
She's a busy girl.
I know. It's crazy.
She has it's so amazing that she has a PhD and she's just a true queen.
Yep.
It's phenomenal. I hope one day I have all that knowledge. She is such an expert, and we are still, not me and her, but my boss and her are pretty close in contact, and she'll send her regular Rocky updates and just the knowledge she has. I'm like, oh my God, Miss Girl, damn, write a book. I want to absorb. And there is a tree kangaroo book that's out there, and she did put a lot of her information in it, but I'm just write me a memoir, and so I can absorb it in my brain.
Oh yeah, no, she is fascinating. And yes, there is a tree kangaroo textbook out there that she's contributed to. I do have a copy of it. It is wonderful.
Me too.
Yay, nerds.
Of course we do.
Of course. Yeah. Why not? And so, okay. So, and this was a new thing just maybe 2 or 3 years ago, if even, because Lumholtz tree kangaroos were not in human care in Australia or anywhere. This was a recent thing because there were so many at the Kangaroo Rescue that, have gone through this issue with the toxicity and then getting hit by cars or being attacked by dogs or whatever, that couldn't be released. And so the idea of, explaining them as a native species, since Goodfellow's tree kangaroos are not, they are from Papua New Guinea, was something that was like put forth to Australian zoos. And so now y'all have Rocky, and that's just
pretty
amazing.
much.
Yeah.
There was one facility, I mean, don't quote me because I could be wrong, but I think it was Dream World that they had the tree kangaroos, but no one else did. Again, don't quote me, but I think her name's Alana. She's also like a tree roo queen, and she would be like our other person to go to because she had like the knowledge. I would say probably like near on par with Karen, like tree roo queen. And so it would be great to pick her brain as well. Honestly, if you're a tree roo expert, hit us up so we can pick your brain.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Would be great.
So I want you to tell me more about. So, all right, my listeners pretty much know what makes a tree kangaroo, but I want to know what makes Rocky Rocky. Tell me about this special boy.
Well, we are actually really proud of Rocky. So he was a wild animal, like I said, has that partial blindness. When he came into captivity with us, he was a bit like, humans? Ugh. Which, fair enough. But a big shout out to my boss, my senior keepers. They put in so much time and so much like love and care into him. And now guaranteed, okay, well, not guaranteed. I mean, everyone has those days, but 9 out of 10, he will come down every morning. He'll eat his little chickpeas. He is actually a health queen, that boy. He gets chickpeas, avocado, banana, and a little banana ball, like a protein ball, every day. And he comes down for his snacks. And it's so crazy because he, like I said, when he first came, he was like, human, scary. So the fact that like my boss and my senior keepers, they've just done such an amazing job. And I've been blessed that I now get to like be with him and I get to share that bond with him. But it's so good because now we can like feel his body, check his body score condition. We can feel the base of the tail, which is one of the things you do for a macropod to make sure they have a nice, healthy body score condition. And he doesn't really care. Like he's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Let me just eat my chickpeas. Like he doesn't mind an occasional little photo. Gotta send to Rossifari.
So true. I get so many and I love it. So tell me, chickpeas are not something that they get in the wild. I don't think there are a lot of Australian chickpeas out there in the world.
Trees?
Yeah. So so how did you discover that? But how did you discover that? Like, do you know how they figured that out? That's like his jam?
That's actually a good question. I'm not entirely too sure, but when we had whispers that we were getting a big Rocky man, we reached out to a few facilities that had tree kangaroos, so Currumbin and Dreamworld, and we were like, hey, we're getting a tree roo. Can you show us what to do? And so my boss, and I think the vet and my senior keeper went to those facilities and they were like, this is what we do. This is what we give. This is how we clean, like all that fun stuff. And then my boss went up to Karen for like a bit of nearly a week, I think. And Karen just showed her the ropes. I don't know who said chickpeas are good. Like, I don't know who invented that, but it's just part of the zoo diet.
Yeah,
but we do give him, he's like, I call him a koala because he gets fresh browse every day. And my God, you probably know this. Tree roos are picky eaters and they're like koalas. It has to be the tip, the fresh stuff that's filled with all the yummy waters and all the good things. Because if you get him old food, he will literally side eye you. Like, I'm not even kidding. Bombastic side eye. Like, he'll be like, sorry, what is this trash? I want the fresh of the fresh. So you'll often see me with like a giant pole saw trying to like cut the tree down. And like the other day, these umbrella plants, they were budding and they love the buds. They're pink buds that you probably see all the time on like Karen's Facebook. You know how tall an umbrella tree is? Do you know how tall I am?
I do not. I don't know either of those things.
Well, I'm a short girl. Those are big trees. So I have like a giant 7-meter pole saw, like cutting down these buds. Because I'm like, anything for my Rocky man. Anything. Like, he wants these umbrella buds. My God, I'm going to get him these umbrella buds. And he's a citrus type of boy. He likes his citrus. We don't grow citrus at work. We're growing citrus now because he likes citrus. But he was like, I want citrus. And I'm like, yeah, no worries, bro. So I went to my neighbor's house at like 5:30 in the morning, knocked on the door, and I was like, hey, we've only met like 3 times. Do you have a citrus tree? Can I please cut it? And they were like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then I was like, I'll explain later. Peace out. Thanks. Came back that afternoon with I went to Kmart, printed out a little photo of Rocky, and I wrote a little message saying, thank you so much for the citrus. Like, you made my day. I'm like, oh my God, what is this monkey? And I was like, excuse me? This isn't a monkey. I was like, the audacity. It's a tree and he's my best friend and I love him. He's the love of my life. But thank you for the citrus. Let me educate you. Let me spend 20 minutes talking about why tree roos are super duper cool.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I love that you did that. That's really cute. That I want a little picture of Rocky and a note from Rocky. That's really cute. But yeah,
I'll send it.
Yes, please. So tell me, here's my question though. Okay, so you mentioned browse, right?
Oh yeah.
And leaves and all that stuff. And so in the wild, they eat these toxic leaves. Do you give them the same leaves in the zoo, or have you found like other things that you can replace that he likes as much?
So there'll be like natural things that we have it's actually really cute. Our maintenance / like garden team made a Rocky browse garden.
Aww.
And it's very cute. Yeah, so bless them. We got on a whole bunch of stuff, but typically macropods, they like to be very cheeky and they love quote unquote pest or introduced species. So like privet, you wouldn't really find privet up North Queensland, but they bloody love it. Kangaroos love Chinese elm. Chinese elm is an introduced pest, but they froth it. It's classic, it's like it's not even McDonald's. It's like not bad, but it's just one of those things where it's like, look at the beautiful native flora and fauna we have here, yet you're choosing to eat the thing that's not even from here. Like, come on, guys, come on.
That's actually really fascinating. Like
main character moment,
That's really fascinating. That's not usually how animals work. Like native animals eat their native plants. But
yeah, macropods are like, if that's a snack, I'm having it. Like, I'm down for it. But if amazing. It is something that's like, we're like, I don't know, can he have this? We have to obviously check. We have like a whole big list that says, eat this, sometimes eat this, don't eat this sort of thing. And if we want to introduce something that's new, for example, like the other day, I was like, oh, is guava a good idea? And so I checked the list. There's nothing really about guava. So I checked with my vet. My vet did some research. She was like, yeah, you can try it. He was like, I don't want guava. Are you joking? What is this trash? Give me citrus. He loves passion fruit vine. He is a passion fruit type of guy. He's built different, hey. Like we do give him his zoo diet, which is like his chickpeas and stuff. And then we give him like natural sort of, not natural, like native stuff. But no, he loves sweet potato vines as well.
Nice.
Sweet potato vines, passion fruit, privet. He loves jacaranda and especially the flowers. In saying that though, he will eat grevillea flowers. I just realized I'm saying all these Australian native species and you're probably like, yeah, sure, Anna. Like,
girl, cool. We got to Google. It's okay. There's a Google. Everyone listening can figure this out. But no, I love that.
He will.
No, I do. I love that you're saying all of this because it's a really varied diet and like you're really passionate about it, and that's cool. I'm all about it. Just no guava.
I'm very lucky. No guava. Yeah, no guava. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky that I get to work with him. In saying that, though, I'm so lucky that I get to work with macropods because I know a lot of people, they often do think, oh, for the listeners, I should be like, I'm macropod, by the way. Macro means big and pod means foot. So what Australian animal do you know that has big feet? And then this is when a lot of people say crocodiles. And I'm like, no. What do you mean? I'm standing in front of a kangaroo. It's a kangaroo.
So wait, if macro means big and pod means foot and cast means broadcast, then this is a podcast. Does that mean that I'm supposed to be broadcasting my foot? Because I thought that was an entirely different thing that happens on the internet. I don't know.
Whoa.
This just got weird. I'm confused.
No, I'm just talking about kangaroos.
Oh, okay,
macro
okay.
means big, pod means foot, so big feet, and kangaroos have big feet.
Okay. All right. I don't know.
That's
Maybe
where
a
that was
podcast is
going.
a footcast. I don't know. I'm just trying to learn. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to learn.
Must be a translation barrier, you know?
All right, so we've established what Rocky eats, and that you know he's really come a long way, which is honestly an amazing story. As much fun as we're having, like, the story underneath this is a really beautiful thing. One thing that I find with animals, having met just dozens and dozens of species at this point, is that they're never as soft as you think they're going to be, and oftentimes they're very like almost coarse, like binturongs and red pandas and stuff have really coarse fur, even though they look really soft and cuddly. The softest animal I think I've ever touched is a Matschie's tree kangaroo. I cannot believe how soft they are, and so I'm curious: is Rocky, being a Lumholtz tree kangaroo, also very soft?
He is so soft.
Oh, I love that.
He is so soft. He, like, I would actually honestly say the softest macropod is a Joey red kangaroo. Like, it almost feels like velvet, but his, like, it's soft. I couldn't even give you like a comparison, but it's not coarse. Like, the bandicoots are really coarse, but he's not even fluffy. It's such a
like
weird,
silky,
like, medium.
Right? I mean, I can only think of the Matchies. I have to see if I can find it, but I have a picture of myself. So I had met a couple of Matchies tree kangaroos by this time. And I was hanging out with one that I had actually met before, but that had learned the touch behavior. So I was finally allowed to stroke it, which I had not been able to do before. I had fed it and such. And there is a picture of when I ran my hand down the back of this Matschie's tree kangaroo for the first time, and my eyes got so big because I couldn't believe it was the first time in all these different animals that I've met where it was actually as soft as I had thought it would be. And there's this really bad picture of me, but you could tell my eyes are so big, and I'm so excited because the tree kangaroo is as soft as I wanted it to be.
That is so cute.
I'll see if I can find that picture and send it to you, because it is not a flattering picture, but it is a very cute one.
No, yeah. That is so cute. And definitely it's just way softer than you think. Like, looking at him, you don't think he's soft, but then you pat him and you're like, what the heck? Like, this guy is soft as. And yeah, for sure, that's silky, I would say.
Tell me about his personality and what your interactions are like.
Well, so he normally comes down, like I said, 9 out of 10. He'll come down 9:30 to 10:30, depends on when we get there. And he's so cute. I'll have to send you a video of him coming down the tree, because I don't know who made tree kangaroos. I know they evolved from rock wallabies, but I don't know who made them. But you look at those things and you're like, are you sure you're a boreal? Are you sure you're built for this? I don't think you are. Because you'll see him, he comes down like a fireman. He'll just and it's sometimes it's not even a swift motion. It looks like he's just hanging on for dear life. Oh my God. But then he'll come down and he's so cute. He'll stomp on over to the platform, num, 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 num. And then he's like, okay, girl, where are my snacks? And because we had them in a little plastic container, sometimes you're in awe of Rocky that you forget that you had the snacks. So he'll look at you, literally death stare you and be like, bro, where's my banana ball? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And so I'll take it out. And normally he is a good boy, and he'll kind of open up his mouth, choo-choo train, ah. But sometimes he'll be like, yoink. And I'm like, oh my God, we're touching hands, we're in love. And I'm all fangirling, and he's all like, girl, just give me my food, chill. But he's cute. We hand feed him, and wow, he's nomming away on his food, eating his chickpeas. Again, that's when we do our body score, making sure there's no cuts or abbreviations or anything like that. Do a little bit of a check of gut feel, making sure he's a nice, perfect man, which he always is. It is in the talks that we want to get him to sort of like present himself a little bit more, just so we can check like the underside of him to make sure his feet and everything like that's all good. But also, like, if you pick up a macropod's foot, they're kind of like, what are you doing to me right now? So we want to get him to do it all on his terms, sort of thing. So just more training, more conditioning, more desensitization. We like touch his feet very nicely just so he knows that we're there. But he graces us with his presence and we're forever lucky. And it's like, he's like the king of where I work. Like he is the king. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say this. When he comes down, we'll make a radio call being like, hey, if anyone's near Rocky, like he's down. I kid you not, people will be running from the other side of the park. Like, they're like, I'll be there. Someone the other day, they just finished a platypus tour. And then we made that announcement. And they were like, I'm on the other side of the park, but I'll be there in like 30 minutes. And they're like running. And I was like, oh, chill. You have at least 10 to 15 minutes. Like, it's all good. And they're like, I've never seen Rocky before. And I was like, well, this is about to be the best day of your life. Like, Rocky is the best day of my life every day.
That is amazing. Yeah, no, Rocky, I get so excited every time I see that I have a message from you. And it's often at like really awkward times because like you'll send it when you get off work, which is like, 2:30 in the morning, my time. And so I wake up in the morning and I have pictures of this adorable tree kangaroo and it makes me so happy.
That is the best way to start your day.
It literally is. I mean, I have this thing. There's this thing going around the internet right now. I don't know if it's true or not, but that I think maybe in Sweden or something, there's a term called a herkel-durkel, which is, now that I say it, it sounds fake, but whatever. And it's a herkel-durkel, according to random things on the internet that I haven't researched, is when you start your day slowly, when you wake up and you maybe look at your phone a little bit and stretch out. Like, you don't have to like hop up and get in the shower and go to work. And that's my entire life. I'm a musician. I don't normally have to ever start my day. I do that every single morning. And part of it is I don't put my glasses on early on. Like I might lay in bed for half an hour looking at my phone and just relaxing. So I will not put my glasses on for like sometimes the first half hour or even hour of my day until I like get out of bed and, live my life. And if I get a Rocky picture first thing in the morning, I immediately grab my glasses because I am immediately, no matter what, going to be looking at those pictures and I need to see them as clearly as possible. So,
Yeah, you got to like see my handsome man.
Yeah.
Be blessed. But okay, in saying this, we are giving Rocky a whole lot of love, but I look after more than just Rocky.
I know.
If I just talk about Rocky the whole podcast.
I was actually just going to transition to the other macropods that you take care of, I promise. But I wanted to tell you that last story and then say, but with that said, we can now move on to what else you take care of. Yeah, no, I mean, it really is a very meaningful thing to me whenever any of the keepers that I've gotten to know send me stuff. And like, especially like tree kangaroos are one of my favorite things. You're the only person I know that has a Lumholtz that I'm friends with that like just sends. It's like it's heaven.
I'm gonna have to plan it now so that you're actually gonna be asleep because Mr. Owl stays up to bloody 4 o'clock in the morning.
Only when I'm doing interviews with certain Australians who didn't have any other time available.
Australian,
you Aussies.
Aussies. I'm gonna have to plan it so when you wake up, you're going to just be like, wow, I'm blessed for the true kangaroo. And I'm going to be like, yeah, every day is a sleigh when you see Rocky.
It's true. Okay, so what else do you take care of?
So we have around 170 individuals.
Wow.
It's so majority of them are eastern grey kangaroos. And then we have red kangaroos. And then redneck wallabies and swamp wallabies. And then we have rufous betongs, which the way I describe a lot of these small macropods, it's a rabbit cross a wallaby. Like if you can imagine that, that's a rufous betong.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
We also look after patty melons, which are a bit stockier wallabies, but slimmer face, but a bit stockier. And then we have bandicoots, which technically aren't macropods, but they're with us. They're hanging out with us. And what I love about our bandicoots is that they're all named after cheeses. So we have Big Cheese, who's like the big man. And then his girlfriends are Brie and Camembert. And then the offspring is Manchego. And Ricotta.
Oh, that's
and then
adorable.
I know, so cute. And then we got a new line, another boy to, make sure Big Cheese isn't spreading his seed everywhere. And his line is going to be after charcuterie boards. So his name is Pickles.
That's amazing.
I know. It's
Very
so
nice.
cute, hey?
So can you explain what a bandicoot is to my listeners?
When I make bandicoot food with my volunteers, I always describe them as big rats. They're
Fair.
big cute rats. But if you've seen a bilby, it's in the same sort of like genre as bilby, but imagine if a bilby and a rat had a baby. That's sort of like the best way to put it. And then we have potoroos, which are like if a quokka and a bandicoot had a baby. That's
Wow.
a lot of my animals are like mixed breeds in my brain.
Amazing.
That's like the best way to like describe them. Otherwise, people are like, a what? Potteroo. A what? I'm like, it's a bandicoot and a quokka. I'm like, that's what it is. Has like the body of a quokka, but like a pointy face like a bandicoot. I'm just going to send you 400 photos now so that you can have like
incredible.
name to visuals.
All of the native wildlife of Australia is incredible. It's just I just love it all so much. It's so cool. So you mentioned swamp wallabies.
Yeah.
What is a swamp wallaby compared? Like I know like I've met a couple different wallaby species, including rock wallabies, which I think are my favorite that I've ever seen. They're tiny
so
and they
cool, right?
live on rocks and they're so cool. But what is a swamp wallaby? I'm picturing just like a rock wallaby, but in like overalls and a straw hat and like something sticking out of its mouth. But I'm guessing I'm wrong.
I mean, look, when they're eating the hay, that's virtually what they look like. So a swamp wallaby, if you've seen like a normal rock wallaby, sort of same vibes, but swamp wallabies are normally a really sort of dark browny color and it has some coloration of sometimes yellow, sometimes like a red, just kind of depends on the wallaby itself. But given the name, they're sort of found in that swamp sort of area, but in forestry areas as well. But they're really dark coloration, so they blend in really well. And where we live, we have like a big forest area, and they live in there, and it's so hard to find them. But they just blend in so well. You got to have like binoculars on, and you just see like a little like ears poke out, and I'm like, I think that's a swampy. But you just gotta like eyeball it,
Yeah, no doubt.
Zoom in.
Y'all, I wish you guys could see. I know we don't do video with this podcast, but Anna is acting out everything she has said this entire podcast, including when she said binoculars. She used her fingers and made binoculars over her eyes. And when she gets excited, she gets right up close to the camera. So I just see like half of her face as she's like saying this stuff. It's it has been a treat. It has been an absolute treat.
You should like. Next time I do a presentation, because I do presentations quite often, you should see me in my koala talk. Because when I talk about breeding, I go like this. I'm like, yeah, when they breed.
Oh, God.
And everyone always cracks up laughing. And then after, I'm like, why did I do that? That's so stupid.
I mean,
I've been told I like talk with my hands a lot, which I'm Portuguese. So apparently that's a big like European thing that like European people talk with their hands. I guess it's like to grab more attention because I need more attention of myself. That's what all of this is, like just grabbing your attention.
I mean, I'm Italian, so I do understand this. But yeah, I could actually tell that you were Portuguese from the accent.
Oh, well, it's my mom. My mom's accent. It's a bit of a lisp as well. It just makes it a unique interaction, really, because you never know what you're going to get. Is it the Aussie? Is it the Portuguese?
So like, were you born in Australia and your mom's from Portugal, or how did that work? I'm curious.
Well, both my mum and dad are Portuguese.
Okay.
And then they met in Australia, though, through my uncle, which is pretty cute because us Europeans, we love soccer. So apparently dad and my uncle were playing in a soccer club and mum was like, yeah, I'm going to go support uncle. And then she came and then my cousin introduced them and apparently it was like love at first sight, blah, 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 blah. Here I am, 3 kids later. Oh, older sister, middle sister, then me. So yeah, 3 kids later, boom, an angel was born.
Oh my God.
That's what I always say to my mum. I'm like, just a God's gift, you know what I mean? Like, because I was a bit of a surprise. Because between me and my sister, my older sister is 9 years, my middle sister is 7 years. So 7 years later, a gift was given, you know?
Wow.
A present from heaven above.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I because you have on your Instagram profile that you are Portuguese and Australian, and I was like, that is a unique combination.
Yeah. What can I say?
So I'm curious, like, what is the environment? So you have 8 million of these kangaroos and wallabies and stuff. It sounds like a huge population. What is the habitat like? Is it a walkthrough? Is it just like open? Is it a bunch of small habitats? How does that work?
So with our kangaroo reserve, it's like 5 hectares of just open like grass, and it's a walkthrough, so people can come in. And look, we're not supposed to have favorites, but in saying that, there's a beautiful red kangaroo. His name is Pluto. He's such a handsome red man, so beautiful. He's literally the definition of gentle giant. Like, he's just gorgeous, 1 in a million, like perfect man. And then we have an eastern grey. His name's Hector. Hector's a bit of an old man. He's called One-Eyed Hector. And those two, they're like the best part. Like, you come in, I mean, I'm really biased, so I always like redirect people to those animals. I'm like, you want to see a big red kangaroo? Because those guys get up to 90 kilos. Like, it's impressive. They can get up to speeds of like 70 kilometers. I go for a whole big spiel. Anyways, and I like walk them over. I'm like, this is the most handsome man. He's Pluto. And people are like, oh my God, so big. And I'm like, I know, bro. You should see when he stands up. Massive. He's beautiful. But so that's our walkthrough. So we have the 2 kangaroo species and then the 2 wallabies. They all co-house together. They're all besties. And then you go through to our wild walk area that Tess might have talked about on her podcast when you guys hung out. We have a whole nocturnal precinct where you come and do night tours at nighttime. And that's where the rest of our gang is. So we have a little mini macropod section with like our potoroos and bandicoots and patty melons and all that stuff. They all co-house together. But then Mr. Rocky Man, because he's the main character, because he's the king of my facility, he gets a big, giant fig tree all for him, and he's the star of the show. But it's really cool because one of the little mini macropod sections is a little walkthrough. And during the day, because most of our guys are crepuscular or nocturnal, so active dawn and dusk, you don't really get to see them during the day. I mean, sometimes if I'm like, hello, are you there? I'm just gotta make sure you're alive and thriving. But at nighttime, we've come at nighttime. We did like a staff sort of practice tour, and it is so amazing to see our animals at nighttime and actually see them do things. And we have this old little man. His name is Grumbles, and his name's Grumbles because he grumbles. And he's like 8.5, so he's an old Rufus Bettong. But he's so cute. He'll like literally sit at your feet and be like, snacks? Where's my snacks? And then you like feed him little biscuit, and he'll go like, oh. And it's so cute. They're so cute. As you can tell, I'm a proud mom. I love them so much.
No, that's awesome. That's so cool. I would love to see, especially a nocturnal tour. That's just amazing to me. I do know what Bettongs are because I've actually seen brushtail Bettongs over here. That's the only kind that I've seen. But
really?
But I do know what you're talking about. Oh yeah. I know what's up.
Well, yeah, I would say for Rufus Bettong, it definitely is a rabbit cross wallaby. Like, it's just the best way to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
It.
Yeah, I love that.
Someone said wombat once, and I was like, wombat? Where are you getting the wombat from? And they're like, look at his bum. I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. It is a very wombat bum.
So here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Favorite animal at the facility that you don't work with?
Oh, okay. So I love Ailika. Ailika is a white-bellied sea eagle, and she's not a big fan of men. And like, facts, girl, slay. True that. He doesn't work there anymore, but I used to have one of my besties. His name was Blake. He worked with Tess. He was in Tess's team, and he's like a very experienced raptor keeper. But even though he has X amount of years, he probably was never going to be able to work with Ilika as a male, just because she just has a preference of females. And so I was like, yo, you should wear a wig and sunnies and talk in a bit more feminine, voice. I even told him to get a bra and stuff it, but he said no.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I'll see if I can find the photo. But he wore a wig. I kid you not, wore a wig, and the wig is called the Jessica wig. Oh, you know what? Long story short, Tess's 30th birthday? Did you see the photo of Chris, her partner, and he was in a brown wig?
Yeah.
That's the Jessica wig.
Oh,
that's Blake's wig.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, so it's all coming together. So he wore brown hair, sunnies. He talked in a bit of a higher voice, and Alika sat on him, and Alika did not care. I don't know if she was convinced, or maybe she was just kind of like, look, you have long hair. I'll take it. I don't care. But she sat on him, and then he spoke in his boy voice, and she was kind of like, what? What? Are you a boy? And then he was like, no, it's me, Jessica. And I was like, I just so freaking funny that he went with it. He was like, yeah, I'm going to go buy a wig and dress up as a girl to hold this white belly seagull. But it's funny that it even worked. And I just love it. I'm just like, Alika, you hate men that much that they have to wear a wig to work with you? Like, man, feminist icon of 2024. Alika, the white belly seagull.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing.
It just makes me laugh. Like, it's just something that I'm like, Miss Girl, like, why? Classic animals, and they're classic. But from what I know, though, like, a lot of eagles are very notorious for being sexist, from like my understanding. So you gotta do what you gotta do to get that experience. Like, that's so fair.
No,
Wear that wig, Blake.
Absolutely. And I find that with a lot of animals, and sometimes I even wonder if the industry kind of pushes that more, not on purpose, but because it's such a female led industry now. I mean, it's often very much, young female keepers. And I've often wondered if that doesn't have an impact on the guys that do come in, especially on the animals that are a little more sensitive about guys. So yeah, no, it's an interesting conundrum, but that was a great solution. I really like it.
Yeah. Well, from what my experience has been, a lot of the animals I worked with are more favored in females, but we had a self-crested cockatoo. His name was Freddie. He was a really good cockatoo. Like, normally cockatoos are very cheeky, and he was a good boy, and he would be like a really trusting boy, and he would like work with you really well, even if you didn't really know him. But if you were a boy, he would just love you like off the bat. Like, he would still listen to your commands and everything. Like, if you choose him to do wings, he'll do wings. But just, he would fall in love with a boy without even knowing them. And I'm like, bro, like, I give you fresh food. I take you out for exercise. Like, I'm the one that trains you. And you're out here loving him, and he's just a boy. Like, what do you mean? We had this park, like, assistant who just helped out with, like, the cleaning and the maintenance and stuff. And I was like, yeah, like, come on in, like, come say hello to the animals. And then just when the birds, like, fall in love with them, I'm like, this is rude. This is so mean. So then I would go to the dingoes, who Aubrey would favour females, and she would cuddle me, and I'd be like, yeah, that's right, respect.
Oh, I want to cuddle a dingo. That's amazing. But also, I think I'm getting an idea for what you're like in a relationship, and it might be the jealous partner that you turn out to be. I'm just saying. That's the impression.
No, I'm cool as bro. Keep my toxic thoughts in my brain like a healthy person.
Then just spill them out on some random podcast someday.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm
That's
kidding.
the healthy way to cope, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. That's what I do. Why do you think I do this thing twice a week? Like, come on.
Exactly. What can I say? You just gotta fight fire with fire. Am I right? You get cockatoo hugs, I get dingo cuddles. Like, whatever.
Seems
it is
fair.
what it is.
I think you win that battle. Actually, I think I love cockatoos, but I'd rather cuddle a dingo. Not gonna lie.
Like, I can't show any favoritism.
All you've been doing this entire episode is showing favoritism.
Hey, it's because Rocky's really cool, okay? Like, he's sick. He's a handsome man. But you know what? If I took Rocky out of the picture, which would never happen, but my actual favorite, I think, because Rocky is like every pod keeper favorite. Like, he is everyone's number one. So my real number one, if not Rocky, it would be this long-nosed potteroo that's called Drumstick. And he's called Drumstick because he's a little drumstick.
Nice.
And I love him. And he's just the cutest boy in the world. And I'm in love with him. He's my best friend. I think he just associates me with snacks, but that's fine.
That's fine. You as long as you love him. Plus, it's a great name. Let's be honest. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of drumsticks right over there. Just right over there.
Hey, that's it. Hey, that's it.
That's awesome. So, is there a conservation organization that you'd love to give a shout out to?
There is. I don't want to say two. I don't want to be greedy.
No, say two. That's fine. If there are two that you really love. Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to obviously give a big shout out because we've been talking about Rocky. We have to shout out the True Rescue with Karen because, I mean, it's where we got our beautiful big man from. So we got to do it. But also, like, she is Wonder Woman. Like, from what I have seen and stuff, like, she is out here like rescuing them and like doing so much. And when she like first came up there, I believe there wasn't really much known about tree roos. And, like, no one really knew what a tree... Like, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't even know what a tree roo was before I was a macropod girl. You know what I mean? And when I got told we're getting tree kangaroos, I was like, sorry, a what? Like, a kangaroo in the tree? Excuse me? But so the fact that they're native to Australia and most Australian people don't know it's a thing, like, is actually crazy to me. So, like, it's just a big shout out to her that she's going out there. She's doing these big, like, PhD like programs and stuff, and like just Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman, Karen, like that, and it's crazy. And yeah, she does so much amazing stuff, and she is a lot of the reasons why people are so passionate about tree roos is because of her, because she's created awareness for it. So I gotta give a shout out to the OG, you know.
I love that. And then what's the other one? Yeah.
Another organisation that's a bit close to my heart is the Currumbin Wildlife Hospital. So those guys out there doing really amazing stuff, and they've recently had this vaccine for chlamydia for koalas. So chlamydia in koalas is a stress-induced disease. So their immune system gets really low, loss of habitat, no food, gets really stressed out, and their immune system gets really bad. That's when the chlamydia like seeps in. And then, I mean, I'm sure we all know what chlamydia is, and I don't have to go too much in depth about that.
Yeah, you're good.
But during breeding season, all I can say is males are very keen to get out there and, you know, do male things, and it gets spread through breeding. And unfortunately, like females can give it to their live young during birth. And when the chlamydia gets really bad, they can lose their eyesight and their reproductive system stops working. And in Queensland, it's illegal to release an unreproductive koala back in the wild. So they have created this vaccine for the chlamydia trial, and I do believe it's going quite successfully. They have 3 trial groups, I believe, and so far everything has been going really well. And like, it's just, koalas are an icon species, and the fact that their population in Queensland is endangered, like, it's so sad because they're such an iconic species. And so just having an organization out there, like, helping with those things, it's one of those things, you know?
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. And I had not heard of the chlamydia vaccine for koalas. So that's really cool that they're working on that. That's like really exciting
news.
I love that.
It's good stuff. It's good so far. I've heard nothing but positive things, which is just exciting because Like these guys, they just have so many threats. The poor little buggers. Like they're out there just trying to eat the leaves, and they lose their homes and dog attacks and car incidents. And if I found them like farmland, cows will like trample on them. So poor little guys just trying to live their best life. Bushfires, and then boom, chlamydia. Like, how can they live under these conditions?
Yeah, that's not the best. That's not the best. Yeah, I didn't know about the cow trampling. I knew about the wildfires, but somehow the cow trampling didn't make it to the news in the United States.
Didn't make it in the cut. Hey. Well, yeah, it's just like the little things like that, and it's just one of those things where it's good to know that a local organization is getting out there, and they have researchers that go out like every day, like rain, hail, shine, public holidays. Like they go out and they search for those koalas. They make sure they're okay and make sure they're like living their best lives, and like props to them.
It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show, but there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
Oh, okay. So I am a koala handler at the moment, which means that we do koala photos. And we have this poopy man. I actually have two, but I've decided to go with the poopy man. His name is Merlin the Groman. And Mr. Merlin has been eating a lot of dunny-eye. So dunny-eye is a species that makes koalas poop, and he's been hogging it. And we were doing this koala photo with this international guest who, like, they're not big, but big enough that, like, the photos were going to go on their social media page. And Merlin decided to poop all over my elbow. So, like, when you handle it, it's on, like, your left hand. And I felt it. And I was like, there's no way I can tap out right now, like, because, it's just one of those things. And I was like, I'm so sorry, guest. Like, and they didn't notice because they were too busy, like, oh my God, koala. And so I put the koala on them, fully knowing it was sloppy poo. And I could see it drip down the shirt. Like, I'm talking like slushy vibes. And then I like took him off, and they, like, to their credit, didn't even realize for a hot second. And then they were like, oh my God, it pooped on me. And I was like, oh, what? Like, oh my God, that's so crazy. That never happened.
Oh no.
But like, it was all over me as well. Like, it was all over my shirt, like on my sleeve. And I was trying to be like, oh, it's so good. Like, do you want to give them pats? And they were like, no. And I was like, fair enough. And it was just so funny because I was just covered in Merlin poop. Like, actually, like, not in khaki anymore. I was in poop. Like, that was the uniform for that day. And I was like, I'm incredible. So sorry, guest. And it was just one of those moments I was like, thank God that, like, they didn't notice when, like, he was pooping. You know what I mean? Like, they were just too fixated on, like, the koala. But then I was like, well, now the Instagram is going to be covered in koala poop. But I always make the joke. I'm like, hey, look, out of all the poop I've smelled, koalas is the best because it's literally just eucalyptus. Like, it's people buy the eucalyptus aroma diffuser. Like, this is virtually the same thing. And it's on your shirt now. So you're just as lucky. You don't need to pay for it. It's for free.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
That's good. No, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I talk so much about Rocky, but he's the love of my life, so I kind of have to. Hey,
that's why I asked you on the podcast. Remember, that was the whole reason. So yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, but no, thank you. This has been a blast.
Thank you. No, thank you. I feel famous now.
Ah, there you have it, folks. What a wonderful time. We had so much fun laughing and talking and all the things. Anna is just a really, I just love her spirit. She's really fun, really funny, really self-aware. And I wish y'all could see or hear even more of the conversations that we've had, both around recording this and just chatting as friends. As a matter of fact, In the time it took me to start recording this audio, just at the end of this episode here, I have gotten 5 messages from Anna, and I'm sure that they are all hilarious and brilliant and silly all at once. So nice to have friends like that. I really hope there's a Rocky picture in there, y'all, because let's be honest, that's really what this friendship is all about. I know I'm a terrible human being, but hey, I'm comfortable with that fact, and that's really all that matters, right? So, that's really all I have to say this week, other than that I want to say thank you to everyone for listening and to all of my patrons, and of course, especially my Red Panda level patrons. And those include Dr. Laura Shank, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, and Jenny Owens. I'm looking forward to being back here on Friday. We're going to have a really cool episode of Zoo News. We're going to be talking about Flacco the Owl and some other stuff. And yeah, it should be a good time. So I look forward to y'all tuning in then. But until then, remember, folks, the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.